and welcome to another episode of the Freelancers Mindset Shortcast. It is amazing to have you all here. We are already on episode 16, and the person we have with us today is somebody very fitting for that milestone. Say hello to Adarsh Krishna. He is somebody I met during my Toastmasters journey, but Adarsh is better known for being a co founder and CEO of Finhancers.com. He is a financial expert who is recognized by SEBI, AAFM, FPSB, USA, and so many more. Finhancers blends technology with a human touch to provide ethical, unbiased investment insights. He is managing 750 plus crore rupees in assets. He is the second generation entrepreneur in his family. They also have a midweek podcast and a monthly financial well-being newsletter. So if you're interested in these things, I'll definitely link it in the description. But with that amazing introduction, hello Adarsh, welcome to the call.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on this podcast.
Pleasure is ours. And we'll start right there with your introduction. You're saying you're a second generation entrepreneur. Why did you choose to take over the family business and do this?
As an entity, we are roughly around 5 years old as of now, 5 to 6 years old as of now. And we have another company which has been in existence for the last 11 years. So, if I must say, as a business put together, including all our businesses in wealth management, we have been in the industry since 2013. And as a team, we possess a good amount of experience in this space. So I can say 70 plus is what we come with, because each of us are in different counters doing different things, all with respect to wealth management. So we've all come together. We have blended that experience of ours to offer a very detailed and a customized and tailor-based solution to all our clients. So my mother started in this industry all the way back in 2013. I'm talking about as a businesswoman, but she started her career all the way back in the year 2001 with a very nice company. And for 11 years, she worked there, and her last position was that of an associate vice president. And subsequently, she decided that it was time for her to start on her own. I think it was something that she was very passionate about, very keen on, because we had a very different vision. We had a strategy in mind. And that passion that we had was very different and unique, is what we felt. And we wanted to do that with a group of like minded individuals who could work with us. And that's how the entire business began. Now, when I entered the industry, the year was 2019, somewhere between 2019 and 2020, which coincided with the pandemic as well. It was a very interesting period because at that time I had too many choices. Right? I mean, just like you, I was pretty young at that time and I had too many choices, and I wasn't sure whether to commit myself to anything. And I remember I was pursuing a different course at that time, and I decided that was the right thing for me. But then subsequently, I decided, no, that is not the right thing for me. I should be doing something else altogether. And after seeing the amount of effort that we were putting into this business and the kind of vision that we had and the mission that we had in place, because the vision was to be a pioneer in the financial services space, which is very common for most people to have, right? You want to be a pioneer, but then what do you want to be a pioneer at? That matters a lot. We wanted to be pioneers of wealth generation while ensuring that people get that end-to-end advisory service. More or less, say for example, today you go to a doctor. You go to a doctor today, and I'm sure most of us are very attached to our family doctors. I think you have a family doctor, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right? All of us have family doctors, regardless of what problem we may have. We may even have cancer for all we know. But we first meet our family doctor.
Yeah.
And then subsequently the family doctor, now in some cases, the family doctor refer to other doctors. And somehow the relationship just keeps going. And we want to be that one-stop solution. We want to be that one-stop solution where not only do we want to advise you, but we also want to execute and ensure that your portfolio is managed well. Now, when I started, I thought this vision was absolutely fantastic because most people were working on one or two products in the industry, and there's a lot of bias involved. Of course, I don't mean to offend anybody here, but I just wanted to put it out there because there's for people to receive that comprehensive advice. Because today, I'm sure all of us would love to have that one person that we go to for everything.
Yeah.
Right? That one person that we go to for everything. It could be anything. For example, say you buy a car today. It should not be that you bought your car from someone and that person asks you to go somewhere else to get your car serviced. And then when something else doesn't work, he asks you to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And this cycle just repeats and you get very irritated. It has to be a one-stop solution because finance is a matter of
I totally get it. Once you build that trust with one person, you would rather continue trusting them than get referred to multiple people.
absolutely, yes, absolutely. It has to be that one person that can be there for you and hold you, and you can trust them, and they sort of give you that service.
Yeah.
That was something that I thought was very, very important. We were trying to merge the aspect of technology and human touch because we are in an age where all of us are only thinking about technology.
Hmm.
And I even the other day, it's a funny example because I was even talking to one of my friends about this. I remember I was charged on my credit card for a subscription that I didn't sign up for.
Hmm.
And there was a charge for 15,000 rupees on my credit card the other day, and I was very, very incensed because I didn't actually want it. Now, it is true. I had opted for a free trial, the free trial had ended,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously they started subsequently. I was very irritated. I instantly sent an email and I got a response from an AI chatbot. And I
Hmm.
was really angry because I wanted a very quick response. I
Yeah.
wanted a very quick response, a human being to come back to me. The
Hmm.
answers were getting into my brain. I seriously lost it.
We have
Now,
all
while
been there.
technology does up the pressure,
Yeah.
it does ease up the pressure, but it is so, so annoying when
Hmm.
you're in that position where you have to listen to that bot tell you, hey, you know what, you wait for some time, I'll get this sorted for you. But I know
Yeah.
it's not a human being telling you.
Hmm.
So the idea is to combine different aspects of technology and human touch, which we thought was very, very important. I saw there was scope for growth in the business, and I saw that there was an opportunity for me to be a leader. And to sum it up, I think a strong vision and mission, a scope for growth, and an opportunity to be a good leader. These are
Hmm.
three things that propelled me into this business. And of course, you have the concept of being a pioneer and being the one stop solution
Yeah.
and managing, bringing the concept of technology and human touch together to create that killer solution.
Hmm.
So these were all the parameters that got me heavily excited, and I've stuck to it. I've completely stuck to it.
That's amazing, actually. And now you have just come fresh into this business. And I'm sure your mother must have had a few systems in place. They must have been following something for a long time. And now I think one thing most second generation entrepreneurs try to do is now I've come in and I have to bring some fresh ideas. I have to bring some of my personality into this. So, what was that like? How would you say the company was initially? And then what was the new thing you brought to the table?
It's a very interesting question because this brings back a lot of memories. I remember when I first walked in to the business, and financial services is one of those businesses where the compliance is very, very high. Compliance is significantly high. It's an absolute killer because I remember when I first joined, for the first few months, my focus was only on compliance, not on
Right.
anything else. It's
Hmm.
funny because I didn't think about business. And I was happy because, and it's funny because I was happy that I didn't have to think about business for a couple of months. And that's because I had a team in place to support me along the way. So the process is already in place for the most part, and more as I embraced the process. But of course, I sensed that there were things that we could do better. I sensed that there were things that we could do better. For example, I came in, I said, okay, no, we're not using that software anymore. That's a
Hmm.
horrible software. I don't want it anymore. That's not how we're going to do it.
Okay.
But of course, it was not a solo decision. It was a decision that we all sat down and spoke to each other about and decided that okay, you know what, this is in the best interest of
Hmm.
the entire business, or that this doesn't make sense, it is too expensive, we should be going for something cheaper. The idea was not to move to cheaper solutions. The idea was to move to a very robust solution that could solve many problems. Now, for any business to function, there are three very important things. I mean, you have people, process, and technology. We call
Okay.
them the three P's, right? And when it came to people, we sensed that there was scope to hire more youngsters and bring in more interns because you need those fresh brains. And this
Definitely.
was one of those mistakes I made very early on. I didn't actually bring anybody in general because we already had a team in place. Our retention was very, very strong.
Hmm.
But when we brought in interns, there was a difference in perspective. I still remember we had an intern in the office who came to me and told me, Adarsh, your market updates are very boring. We used to send this market update email to all our investors talking about what happened during the market, what happened in the
Hmm.
market over the last 1 week. And I remember she came and told me, Adarsh, this looks extremely boring. Looks extremely boring.
Okay.
And I thought to myself, she's right. It does look very boring indeed, right? It's data rich, of course, but who wants to read that kind of data? Who has the time to read that kind of data? I mean, they are with a financial advisor so that I can make their life easier, not to make it more difficult. And I remember she sat down with one of my boys in the office and they drafted an incredible market update full of infographics. It looks so beautiful today that goes to all our investors every week. And what was actually a monologue prior to this turned into a page or 3 page market update with exquisite design and data that is so soothing to the eye for someone to read. Of course, upskilling was very important for us because internally being here, although we may be experts at what we do, we cannot be experts at everything and forever. There'll always be new things that will come up. For example, over the last 5 years, we've seen many major technologies come in. Gen AI, generative AI has taken shape a big time. And then we've seen multiple technologies, you name it, it's all there. Upskilling is a key. And all of this leads to a very strong retention, as we've observed over the years in our enterprise. We thought there was a more unique way to do financial planning. For example, I remember that many investors were investing without a goal in mind, which is the case in the whole of India. Right? You see somebody earning a 40% return, they talk about 40%, 50% CAGR, and you instantly are sort of taken aback, and you're so mesmerized with the return that you don't think about the fact that you're investing for a reason, or you should be investing for a reason. There has to be a goal, right? There has to be a goal, and a goal is a big motivator. It could be investing for retirement, buying a car, buying a house, taking vacations. Every individual has their own purpose. There's a need for every investment to have that purpose. And obviously, one of such things we implemented was and this ensures that's commitment. There's commitment to saving, which is very important to us. And we have religiously used this over the last 4 or 5 years as a principle. And we're happy that at least around I should say at least 95% of our investors are investing with the goal in mind today, which is huge, especially given that we are managing over 2,000 clients as things stand. With 95% of people investing in the goal in mind, I think that was a huge milestone for us over the past 2 years. And to be able to advise them on multiple products makes it's a lot easier now that we know their goals and offer that comprehensive advisory. And to refine the process and to bring in that a financial planning framework, because we are deep propagators of financial planning. Financial planning is one of such things where we focus on three very important parameters. One is emergency fund creation, then you have your protection planning, and then lastly, you have investment planning and goal planning. Goal planning being a set of investment planning to some extent. So for us, all these were very important, and we wanted to sort of bring this into the system and to ensure that people have access to the best. And obviously, we wanted to ensure that we have a very robust research as well. We introduced something called a 3-layer research approach internally, which was to ensure that we don't act biased. Because I'll be very honest. I mean, actually today, I think if you go around, all of us are entitled to our own opinions. Right? All of us are entitled to our own opinions. We think we know. We think what we say is right. Which will not be, frankly enough. Just because I feel that a certain product is perfect doesn't mean that it is actually perfect. What if there may be a different perspective, right? Because I remember years ago, the best way I'd probably relate to this is if I look back and think about when we bought a car as a family years ago, right? We were so fixated on one car, we decided that was a perfect car for us. We were like, that's the car we're going for. And I remember thinking to ourselves, okay, that's the car we're going for. And we were almost about to buy it. And I remember somebody came and told me, Adarsh, why are you going for the car? There are better cars out there. I can see there are cars of a lower price, same engine, right? Same engine, literally the same engine, same everything. But yet you're paying 2 lakhs more for the car. Why is that? Why are you doing that? And it's funny because we didn't know that, right? I mean, how do I know that the engine and both cars are the same, except the price is higher in this car and the price is lower in the other one? So that was pretty funny because I have an outsider's perspective, right? So the 3-layer research approach is built while keeping in mind that we have an external research, we have an internal research, and lastly, we have the whole concept of shortlisting a product. So we have thoroughly implemented this product, this research, and we've been following it religiously for the last 5 years, wherein there's a quarter-on-quarter review that happens on each investment product. And this has ensured that our investors are very happy with what they've gotten in return, in terms of return, and also from the perspective of the risk that we're taking, which is very, very important for us. And last but not the least, technology was one of such things we were very, very big propagators of. We launched a mobile app. I was not actually for a mobile app for many years, frankly enough. I thought to myself, my investors wouldn't need a mobile app because all they need is us, right? Because I've never seen them ever ask for a mobile app before. But then we decided that just because they haven't asked for it yet doesn't mean they'll never ask for it. Or just because they haven't asked for it yet doesn't mean they. And obviously, today's day and age, everything works on your mobile phone. I think there was a time where most of us were on our computers, but now we're on our phones. So there was a need to revamp the mobile application, bring in a very, very good website, and to ensure that people have good support. Right? I think I was just talking about that example where I wanted my refund. I was waiting for so long, and then all I got was a response from a bot. And that was that's not something that most people would want to see, especially when you're wrongly charged 15,000 rupees from your card that you didn't even want to pay for. Obviously, you're going to be very, very angry and incensed. So it's very important that you have a quick support and a very good support team with a good amount of experience that knows what they're doing. So this year we are looking to implement our own in-house CRM, and we are building a couple of other softwares behind the scenes. If all goes well, we may probably even revenues could also spike up. And our investors will be the biggest beneficiaries.
I know somebody who is a second generation entrepreneur, and the first change that she brought for the company she is working at was digitizing everything. Like, no more in-person meetings, no more direct reporting stuff, no more pen and paper. It was entirely digitized. They got this platform on Notion where they started sharing work reports over there. They had a platform called Raik and one called Trello where they were assigning work to each other. And they got this AI platform called HeyGen, where basically instead of recording videos for their personal branding and stuff on LinkedIn, they started getting these AI avatars. They started creating videos in bulk like crazy. And then they started changing the ethnicities. They uploaded the script and then translated that script into different languages. And then they just in bulk started deploying it. So something that took 2 weeks was done in like a couple of seconds. So I think when second generation entrepreneurs come in, they have methods to make things faster. Like, rather than radically changing the systems, they find smarter ways and faster ways to do things, which is what I'm understanding from what you have said as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that difference in perspective is very, very important. And I think it sort of enlightens you because I've come to the stage in my life where I need more perspectives. Right? I think the moment you're into a business for more than 3-4 years, you get used to a certain way of doing things, right? And there's a need for you to not settle, to never settle, to always be on the edge of your seat, to always be on your toes, always have something to push. I think that's what many second generation entrepreneurs are bringing in these days.
For sure. But apart from the positive side, there will, of course, be a negative side as well because such a big responsibility has come upon you where you're taking this legacy forward. What would you say were some pitfalls that you had to face while building the business, and how did you overcome those pitfalls?
A good question, because I think that is here's the reality check. There are a lot of mistakes I made very early on. I think the best judge would not be me, it would be the people around me. And this was feedback. And yes, it's very important that you actively seek feedback, which is very, very important. I think being an entrepreneur, what happens is you have some level of flexibility. You have some level of flexibility, which most people tend to misuse. And it may so happen that you may misuse even without your own knowledge. Or, for example, say you don't have work, you could still network, you could do a lot of things. So I feel that a lot of people don't tend to manage their schedules properly. They don't tend to have deadlines. They don't tend to do a lot of things properly. For example, there are 3 things that I thought, and this was something that came to the top of my mind when I think about the mistakes I made very early. First and foremost, I had a hard time prioritizing tasks because everything seemed important. Everything seemed equally important because work was coming from all corners, and I still remember thinking to myself, what is more important?
Hmm.
Now, that is something for you to decide. But one of the most important things is, first and foremost, you must keep an eye on the revenue of the company, which is very, very important. So, any task that is incidental to revenue or incidental to customer service takes precedence over everything else during the day. And one may probably even have to work around the clock, because I know in the
Hmm.
new age, many people can think that an entrepreneur is the kind of person that would probably have an incredible life in comparison to someone that's working a 9 to 5 job. But the moment you come out of a 9 to 5 job and get into entrepreneurship, you understand that it's no longer a 9 to 5 job, it's a 24/7 job.
24/7.
Because you could literally have work across the day. And there's a need for you to prioritize tasks, which is very, very important. And that is one issue that I faced, which I have since overcome in different ways. Because what we did was, I mean, introducing a CRM was of great help to some extent. But the second part is to naturally understand what is more important. I think as you're in the business and you to talk to more people, understand different perspectives, actively seek feedback, because you may make mistakes prioritizing tasks. So it's important that you talk to each other and understand what is more important compared to the other, right? And then that was one mistake I made. And the second mistake that I made was probably not networking enough, which I think is a
Hmm.
huge problem with not maybe businessmen with a team, but I think many solopreneurs have a hard time. Because
Yeah.
I'm not a solopreneur, because we have a team of 15 people. But despite that, I used to not network as much. Of course, we
Hmm.
had a good flow of clients. We had a steady flow of clients. Clients were constantly referring us to new clients. So we never had any problems as such. Even to this day, our clients have been very, very generous to us. But it's important that you go out and network. Networking isn't just to get business, it is only to
Hmm.
understand and collaborate. To
Yeah.
collaborate is very, very important, because in the 21st century, I feel collaboration is what it's all about, right? If you can come
100%.
together and do things, wonders can happen, right? So that was something that I feel I could have probably done better at, probably back then, which I've since improved at significantly, I hope. And that's the kind of feedback I got from my
Hmm.
team. And obviously, managing tasks, managing deadlines, having deadlines is very important, even as an entrepreneur, so that you can think ahead and go into the future. These are three things I wish I had done a lot better at. Of course, I was highly qualified when I got in, despite being fairly young,
Hmm.
but it was very important for me to get these three things right, which you only learn when you're in a practical work environment.
Right. I completely agree. I mean, I had a friend who took over her family business, which was kind of into medical stuff, Ayurvedic medicine and everything. And the problem she had was she wanted to do a rebrand to show that there's a second generation thing, and she completely destroyed the legacy right there. People were relating to this brand in a certain way. They had built trust around it. They were associating certain things to this brand, and by trying to rebrand it to suit this second generation vibe, she completely killed it and she had to restart from scratch. People just couldn't relate to the brand anymore. So I think it's good that, deep down you have preserved the foundation of what the brand is. Like, I mean, whether it's the brand colors or the messaging or your positioning or anything, I think it's good that you have retained that stance all these years.
That's a wonderful point you actually brought up, frankly, because with the intent of changing a few things, you end up changing practically everything.
Yeah.
And the whole thing can go for a toss. I still remember very early in my business. I still remember very, very early on when I started. Of course, clients weren't used to me. They weren't used to me because they were used to being served by somebody that had around 15 years of experience on the phone. And then
Hmm.
all of a sudden, a kid calls up with less than 1 year of experience.
Hmm.
And clearly, they are starting to doubt my ability. They're starting to doubt whether
Yeah.
if I'm even capable of doing something. And generally, what happens here is it's important that there is a seamless form of handholding in the
Hmm.
business where you go understand from someone else, because all of us are here working as a team. We all have a philosophy, we all have
Hmm.
a goal in mind, and each of us cannot behave in different ways. All of us, of course, we all have our own way of doing certain things. We all
Hmm.
have a
For
certain
sure.
perspective or approach, and that is fine. But on top of that, the bottom line is to be able to be an ethical advisor, to be
Hmm.
able to support the client on many levels, to sometimes go out of your way to ensure that the plan is implemented. So this is very, very important. So there cannot be a massive difference between the previous advisor to the one that comes up. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where there's a level of hand holding that needs to be done, which
Yeah.
we did a pretty good job at very early on. At least I had that level of support.
Yeah, things like this that you're saying, it shows that there is one set of mindset shifts that go into building a brand, but there's a whole other set of mindset shifts to, take what is already there and build further. Like you're not going 0 to 1, you're going 1 to 2. And that takes a whole new set of mindsets. So, speaking of which, before I let you go, my final question to you is what are your plans for the future? Where do you plan to take the business in the future? I think you have a podcast and newsletter, and you said you're experimenting with a lot of tech and everything. So, what is the next plan?
A very good question. Actually, the thing is, even the newsletter or the podcast was only our way of ensuring that our clients get information in one place. That was more or less an extension of the one-stop solution that we were talking about. We wanted to add more and more offerings or more and more ways of. I think communication is very most importantly. And if your clients can get information in one place without having to go anywhere else to get information, then there's nothing better than that.
Hmm.
So that was one of the ideas for the last 1 year. And digitally, I would say media wise, I think we were able to transform ourselves pretty well in the past 1 year and establish some level of presence. But that will be an ongoing process. But secondly, there's a need for us to digitally transform even further. I remember at the start of the year, we all stood together in one room and we told each other, this is going to be the year of digital transformation. We're
Hmm.
going to transform to such an extent that we'll not have a better year than this.
Yeah.
2025 has to be. It has to be a year that touches every investor's heart. And it has to be in such a way that Finhancers becomes a household name in most places. And, and to spread financial literacy is very important for us. Another thing that we genuinely want to do that we've been doing for many years, because over the last decade, we may have done at least 850 plus investor awareness programs to employees of companies, all free of cost. The idea was to impart financial education. I remember that that's an average of at least 2 or 3 every week over the past
Hmm.
decade that we've been doing. And we want to continue with that. And we want to be able to provide a lot of one-to-one counseling sessions, again, free of cost as a CSR, because the idea is to ensure that people have access to financial education and to have someone that can handhold them. That was important for us. And it's important for us to build a very compelling value proposition. That is something that we are working very hard towards. And how can we build a compelling value proposition? Of course, we already have a very compelling one, as most investors would say, but we want to give our investors many more reasons to be with
Hmm.
us. And that would mean we want to collaborate with more like minded entrepreneurs, or we want to support them. And we also want to invest in a lot of startups this year
Hmm.
and mentor them. We have already started the year with a bang in that respect.
Hmm.
So these are the future plans of the business. And all of this is expected to transform not only us, but our investors. Our investors are going to be the biggest beneficiaries here.
For sure. Thanks so much for sharing that. And I wish you all success. I'll definitely be in touch with you to know how everything goes. And with that, thank you so much, everybody, for sticking around. Thank you, Adarsh, for taking so much time out to explain your entire journey, how you started like looking at the whole value proposition of the company and you were attracted to it first. You were like the first customer who got attracted and came in, and now you have taken it to the next level and implementing a lot of technology, trusting people. I think one of the biggest problems we have is people join companies to gain experience, but companies hire people only if they have experience. So that's like a catch 22 situation people have.
Been reverberating in my mind for a long time.
Yeah. So the fact that you took that and you decided to abolish it and you're trusting so many people and you're just taking your business to new heights, which is amazing. I hope you all got some insights. If you are planning to become a second generation entrepreneur, take something that's there and take it even to the next level. So I will leave all of others' links in the description if you would like to check him out and get some of his services as well. Thank you so much for watching and stay tuned for the next one.